Welcome to HTN4U's Wellness Champion Podcast. I'm Bill Bowman.
I'm Nikilette Walker-Bowman.
And we'd like to welcome you to this episode where we're going to be talking about something which is near and dear to our hearts.
That's correct.
Something that we do every day,
We do.
all day long, and we don't even think about it usually. Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. On the Wellness Champion Podcast, we'll be exploring the fundamentals of intentional breathing, your hydration, nutrition, intentional movement, and your wellness mindset. The Wellness Champion Podcast is your time for a mindset reset. This is all about breathing. Now, I know that breathing is something that we do every day, all day long, without even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Well, usually without thinking about it. But when we talk about intentional breathing, why do we say intentional breathing? Why do we put an intent behind breathing?
Well, I think something with breathing, the thing that we do on a regular basis, we take it for granted. We take for granted the breath. We breathe naturally without any intention or thought on our own. It is something that is programmed in our bodies to do, where we breathe on our own without having to think about it. And imagine just thinking of all the systems that are in the body. If you had to think about breathing, and then you would have to think of digestion and digesting your food, all of these things. That's why it's amazing, yeah. Right? I mean, if you really think about it, that's why it's amazing that we don't have to do anything. It does it automatically.
Right.
And so with intentional breathing, there's definite purpose behind it. And there's a definite reason why you would be in an intentional breathing purpose moment.
Right. I mean, a lot of the things, we talk about this all the time. In HTN4U's affirmations room. We talk about this on our blog. We talk about this with the people who we coach, that breathing really centers you. Breathing, like one of the best things for you to do when you're having an anxiety attack or you're frightened or, something's up, something's going on.
Yeah.
In fact, people used to say, take a breath. And I know that used to...
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would... Let's just say, for me, I had... I lived in a fight or flight mode for a lot of my life. I was under a constant pressure, and I had a lot of anxiety, and I didn't even realize I had anxiety. I thought this is just how I was. And so I didn't even have any clue that I was breathing shallowly, that I was breathing quickly or anything like that. I just thought I was breathing. When someone said, take a breath, I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. I am breathing. What do you mean, take a breath?
Right.
And so when that's a great thing to say to somebody, take a breath. But if they don't know what that means,
right,
then you're leaving them without any way of taking that breath, having it mean something, applying it to their life. There's nothing there. It's just like, take a breath. Well, okay, now what do? I'm kind of left here with the idea of taking a breath, but I'm doing that all of the time. So it wasn't until I actually started doing meditation and different programs in my walk that I started to learn that breathing was actually a really important part of my life outside of the regular, but the intentional breathing really made a difference in my world. And so with bringing that intentional breathing into play, the anxiety was reduced.
So when people are left with that, feeling of, well, okay, take a breath, but what does that mean? there are a number of different techniques that we can employ to help us with our breaths.
Right. It's just even it's even understanding that you need a technique, or there are techniques when you're in that place of someone saying, take a breath. And then, like I said, you're kind of stuck there without any way of knowing what that is. And getting into the meditation space is where things really started to open up for me, where I started to kind of pay attention to breathing and different, even just the simple breathing. The 5-5-5 is a technique that I teach in the affirmations room and do with the community every Monday through Friday. And we take a breath, but even in this intentional breathing, we actually incorporate other things as well. And so your breathing, the intentional breathing, doesn't have to be so robotic, or it doesn't have to be just focus on the breath and nothing else. You can allow yourself to get in a very relaxed state when you are in this breath work, and you can bring in visualizations and intentions as well. So it's breath work is extremely powerful for the body, mind, and soul.
Right. I mean, I remember that, I've practiced yoga for years. I love yoga. And it's a great way for us to get into our intentional movement, right? And so I really embrace that. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I didn't realize, though, until I put it together much later on, was that breathing is so much a part of a yoga practice. Oh, yeah. And that really it begins with that. Everything centers around your breathing, and then goes from there. All of your movements, when they come from your core, are really purposeful, intentional movements. And when we breathe, if we're breathing from our core, then it engages that whole process to help your body. I just started doing yoga like this year. Yeah. So, and I know you've been doing it for years, and I was more into weightlifting and walking and things. And I decided to start doing some yoga because I wanted to connect deeper on a deeper level to my breath and to my body. And I found that the intentional breathing when you're doing this yoga practice of breathing in, and of course there's prompts that make it easier when you have a trainer helping you with it. But it really helps me with the focus on the breath, building the core, but balance. How I'm able to hold those positions, because if I'm not focused on my breath, I'm going to fall right out, So, right. I mean, unless it's something I really like, a pose that I'm not used to either, and then that's just building into it, and you breathe through it, and if you kick out of it, you get right back into it. Yeah. So breathing is so incredibly powerful with our bodies and movement, and like the body, mind, and soul we were talking about. So now I want to ask you about your favorite kind of your favorite breathing exercise, like what your favorite one is, what your go-to is, and I'll tell you what mine is too. Okay. But first, let's just talk about where are the kind of places where can you, like, when does intentional breathing apply? Like during what activities? Well, we already mentioned yoga. Mm-hmm. And what about meditation? Mm-hmm. How about walking? Lots of people, go out for a walk. Do you, and that's a great way to, not only is it a great start, but it's a great way for anyone who's experienced at physical fitness just to keep in shape, and walking is one of the best things we can do. Yeah, it's amazing. I used to do walking a lot. When I was doing 45 minutes a day, I was going out in the mornings, 45 minutes every day. And it was interesting because when I started, I was just doing the walking thing. I didn't really put much mindfulness into it. And then I started to incorporate a little bit of light jogging into it, just to get some movement in. And that's where the breath part came in, because prior I used to have asthma issues and things like that. And so breathing when you're running or lightly jogging, especially in the cold weather, for some asthmatics, that can really be a problem. I don't have asthma anymore. So I learned how to really regulate my breathing, and it's with longer breaths, even when I'm running, doing that jogging. And it is amazing. It keeps me in a calm state,
even when I'm moving like that, and it feels great too. And it's just a lot of breath work, focused on the breath work, taking it in slowly and releasing.
So are you in your mind, are you focusing on your breaths as you're jogging?
Yes.
Like you're really concentrating on that. Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I give it some attention because that's keeping me right where I want to be in the jogging moment. You know, I'm really present to it because there's something about the running, the movement of that. When I'm doing that, there's a release that comes through, and it's not the endorphin, it's just the release of stress. It is a release of a lot of the weight on my shoulder. I get to release that in the movement, and I feel amazing in that moment.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So now, my favorite, my go-to breathing technique is the 5-5-5. That's where I breathe in for 5, I hold for 5, and then I release for 5. I count to 5.
Yeah.
And when I breathe in peace. And when I hold that breath, I let that peace just sort of ruminate. And then when I breathe out love. And that's my go-to. I love that. And I use that all the time. I'll be driving somewhere, or I'll feel particularly amped up or something. Maybe there might be a stressful situation to do with working or something, and I will go to that, and that centers me every time. And I love that. What's your favorite one? What's your go-to?
Well, if you had asked me this last week, I probably would have told you the alternate nostril breathing. And the alternate nostril breathing has really done wonders for me. But over this weekend, I learned a new technique, and I was with a group of colleagues where we got together for a retreat, and we did this breath work where you actually breathe in for 10 seconds, then you hold for 10 seconds, and then you release for 10 seconds. Now, the advanced level is doing it for 20 seconds, breathing in for 20, holding for 20, releasing. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot. But actually, when you're breathing in for 20 seconds long, right?
That's a slow, deliberate breath.
Oh, slow, deliberate, absolutely. And even in holding, it's really the key to it that I really learned about this was when you're in the hold position is just to really relax through it. It's not to do it holding on for dear life, but it's just the hold of the breath and letting your body work naturally. And one recommendation that really helped me was realizing that there is energy flowing through my body. There's blood, there's oxygen, and there's energy flowing through me, and just seeing that move through my body when I'm holding that breath, it was amazing because I literally focused on oxygenating my entire body from top to bottom. And then the release is just letting it out slowly for that 10 seconds.
Right.
And then you go right back in to breathing. You don't stop. There's no stopping at all. It's continuous. And you do this for 3 minutes.
Wow. Yeah. Which also doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're doing an exercise that,
you really got to you're really focused and concentrate, because not only do you have to do that 20 seconds, but you have to watch the timer too. You have to be focused on your time. So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, keep in mind that the average person, when they breathe, your respiratory rate is going to be roughly 12 to 15 breaths per minute. But that's fairly shallow breathing. And we don't normally think about this.
Right.
Because it just happens automatically.
Right.
But that's fairly shallow. But when you get your breath down to like 4 to 6 breaths per minute, that's that more intentional, deep breathing that, we're talking about, where especially if you're doing 20, no, what was it again? It's 20 seconds in, 20 seconds hold, and 20 seconds release. So that's a whole minute. So that's 1 respiration per minute. That, I think, is advanced.
Yeah.
That's an advanced technique.
Yeah, and that's only doing it for 10 seconds. That's
10
ultra advanced.
10 seconds will be two breaths per minute.
Yeah, so if you're doing it on the 20 seconds, which is the that's the advanced, what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I did the 10 second because I'd never done it before. So we were starting it that way. But I am definitely looking into doing that for the 20 seconds. And I have worked on a lot of that deep breath work over the years. So I think I can do it.
I know
I'm
you
up
can.
for the challenge to try that for that 3 minutes, because I love a challenge. I just love challenges, but I also like to push myself beyond what I'm told of my physical limits in those regards. Not obviously not harming myself, but doing it in a way that's going to challenge me and help me to elevate my well-being and elevate what I'm able to accomplish in this body that I have. Because this is, this body is, I got one, and I love learning more about it each day that I'm in it. And I'm learning all the time about my body, all of these things that I'm able to do just in breath alone,
There's so much to learn. There is so much to learn. Our bodies are just beautiful, wonderful, awesome biological mechanisms that just work along with the earth, and it's awesome.
It is.
What would we say to someone who has not really practiced intentional breathing before, but is interested in starting out with that? What's a good way to start? Where would you start? I think maybe, the 5-5-5. Would that be a good one to start?
It's a beautiful start for me. That's the one I started with too, back in 2017, where I would breathe in for 5, hold for 5, release for 5, and do it for 5 times. That's really, it gets you again in a state. You're intentional.
So should we do one round right now? Just one round, just to show people what it's like.
Sure, why not? Absolutely.
Okay.
So you want to get your feet planted firmly on the ground if you're able to. If you're not, then get that support underneath your glutes. You can even be in a lying down or reclining position. And if that is the case, then you can ease back into that, just like relax in. So it's just really getting into a place where you are getting relaxed, and just sit up, make sure your sits bones are evenly placed on whatever you are seated upon, or if you're lying down, then you're just easing back in. And so we're going to be breathing in. I love to close my eyes. That's something I love to do.
I do that too.
Yeah, and you can put your hands on your lap, or you can even put your hands at heart center. A lot of people like to do that as well. I find that really helps me to connect. And we're just going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you notice, that last round is a little slower than the other 2.
And I still had some left in me too at the end. At the very end, when you're getting down to 2, 1, I still had a little bit left that I pushed out.
Yeah, and that's where regulating that exhale comes into play. And
the more you do it, the more you get used to
100%.
it. Yeah. And
I love to do it slowly on the last 5. And the reason for that is to really get all that air up from the belly, bring that right up and release it out. And when you're doing that, there's the intention, like you had, was to release love. And you have so much love to give, so that's why you had that extra little bit in you.
Yes.
Because you have so much love to give. But it is amazing when you really have that focus. And we didn't talk about all the deep techniques. We just did the quick, simple 5-5-5. But there are ways of setting it all up and getting yourself. Now, if you just need to do something really quick and you're just like, haven't got time for 5-5-5 and 5 breaths, I love the alternate nostril breathing. That for me has been the key for me, and it literally only takes a few rounds and it's quick too. It's not like long, because it really depends on your breathing. But that's the one I love to do. But I do love the 5-5-5.
So now you've got us all intrigued, though.
I know.
Let's do the alternate nostril breathing.
Okay. Everything's still the same. Sitting up, everything's
the
same.
Get into a relaxed sitting position with your glutes on the seat and your feet on the ground.
If you're able to, yeah.
And or laying down.
Yep.
And okay.
So what you're going to do is you're going to take your thumb and place that on your right nostril, and then you're going to keep my
right My
your
right hand, my right thumb.
hand, right nostril. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. And then you're going to take your ring finger and your middle finger and put them on top of your third eye, right here.
Okay, my ring finger and middle finger,
Yep.
top of
So
my third
like,
eye.
you can see this from the side.
And I sound a little nasally right now. 'Cause
I'm half nasally because I have one nostril closed right now.
Right. So what you're going to do is breathe in through that left nostril deeply and then hold it. And then you're going to move that ring finger on that left nostril and release the thumb. And then you're going to breathe out through the right nostril. Breathe in through the right nostril. Cover the right nostril with the thumb and release the left nostril and breathe out through the left nostril. And you just repeat that process. You can do that for, several rounds up to a minute or two. And it really...
Wow, that's really centering, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel a shift in me toward my center.
Just even in that little bit.
Just
we only
one-
did it twice. If you did it 3 or 4 times, what it does is it really relaxes that parasympathetic nerve and gets you out of that fight or flight or that anxious state and brings you right into that centeredness and right into your body and right into this present moment that you're in right now. And that's what I love about the alternate nostril breathing, because it is something you can do quickly. You can do it when you're, you can do it when you're driving if you need to. You can do it, you have a meeting before you go into a meeting. You can just boom, 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 do it real quick in the bathroom. There's so many ways to do it, and no one is watching you. No one's looking. Just take care of yourself. Just
Right.
give yourself that
And
moment of
a
breath.
little note for eyeglass wearers. I'm wearing eyeglasses, and I did poke myself on the eyeglass as I was trying to move my finger down. So you might even want to take your glasses off when you do it.
Why not? A little extra love for yourself.
Yeah.
Relax your face. Give everything a moment to just relax and not having to hold anything up.
Well, that was awesome. I feel actually much better now.
Yeah. Well, we've done some great breathing techniques. We also did the 5-5-5 first.
We did.
And then we went to the pranayama breathing, the alternate nostril breathing, and it is really a beautiful thing. And I hope that everybody enjoyed those 2 techniques that we just did.
Yeah. And I did, and I hope you all did too. And what I think we'll talk about, I think, we brought up some really interesting things with intentional breathing.
Yeah.
And what goes really well with intentional breathing, you might ask?
What is it, Bill? What goes well with intentional breathing?
Hydration.
Oh.
Hydration and intentional breathing go really well together. And I think we'll have to talk about that next time.
Yeah. Breathing and water.
Yeah.
Hydration is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. Well, I had fun. To learn more about intentional breathing and many of the other things that we talk about at Healthy Transformation Nation, go to our website, visit our website, htnforyou.com. And there you can join our community. It's a great community.
it is. It's a really thriving community where we talk about several different topics weekly in different areas, where we focus on our core values here at Healthy Transformation Nation.
Right, which are intentional breathing, hydration, intentional movement, nutrition, and of course, our mindset, which is really important.
Absolutely.
Till next time, I'm Bill Bowman.
I'm Nicolette Walker Bowman.
This is HTN for You's Wellness Champion Podcast.